Hey everybody, this is Dimensions of the Supernatural. I am Maureen Grudzinski, also Lil Witchy. I am the host for this evening. We are missing Anthony Simonelli, otherwise known as Mr. Fuhgeddaboudit. However, we're making it up with 4 amazing, strong-minded women from Interstate Paranormal Research. We are going to get to it in just a moment, but this is also International Women's Month and the month of March. And because of that, we are all women here tonight. I will bring them on in just 1 second. We have Cindy Widmere, Jessica Van Dyke,
hello,
Megan Bisignaro, and
hello.
Sierra Dickerson, all of Interstate Paranormal Research, all the women who Tony could not do without. Thank you, girls, for being with us tonight.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
I'm so excited that you're here with us. And again, our comment section is probably going to go crazy in just a few moments. Hi, everyone. Thanks for being with us as usual. We'll probably have some unfamiliars. So if you are on Facebook, please let us know who you are because we won't know otherwise. So girls, tell us, what is it like to work for Tony, or work with Tony, I should say. He's probably working for you.
Megan, you want to start us off?
Dude, I feel like you'd be the perfect person, Cindy.
Me?
I'm just joking. So Tony is like a big brother to all of us, almost. He has a lot of years in the paranormal, and we learned so much from him. And we're all almost like a big family. So it's being like with your best friends, with your family when you investigate with them, or with all of us.
I see that in him, definitely. So all of you have different jobs within the organization, although you do investigate as well. Do you want to tell us a little bit about each of what you do?
Sure, who wants to start?
Cindy, do you want to
start?
Say that one more time.
Cindy, do you want to start us off?
Sure. I'm with Interstate Paranormal, as you mentioned. I am part of the admin team. So scheduling, working with everybody on the team, keeping some of our records straight, things like that, coordinating schedules, coordinating personalities, just working together. It's great being on Interstate Paranormal. I love the family atmosphere. But basically, that's my role on Interstate Paranormal as admin.
And of course, you do need to be a strong woman to be able to do that because you're dealing with all of the flack from anybody who comes to you doing the admin work.
Yeah, sometimes. They're a good group, though. I'll be honest with you. Most of them do not. I mean, we do, for the most part, get along pretty good. Every once in a while, we do have a very strong group of people in general. The women on this team, actually, we have more women on this team than we do men. And very strong-minded, strong, I want to say opinion, but really it's for the good of the team. So maybe I might think of it one way, but somebody else on the team might think of it a different way. So it's kind of weighing in also on all those thoughts for the betterment of the team.
That's great. So you're kind of like Tony's Angels.
There we go. I never thought of it that way.
New t-shirts.
Don't give them a fat head, but yeah.
You should. Sierra, do you want to tell us a bit about how IPR is working to create or maybe even influence with their presence in social media and within the community?
So I run the Facebook page. I keep everybody up to date on where we're going, what we're doing. And we go and, we get things posted out there to try to get interaction from people. Like we have events that we host every year. And we just, we push that out there to try to get the most amount of interaction and presence from the social.
Sure. And how is it for you? Because I know that you just recently joined the team and you're kind of a newbie, having no experience or little experience with such experienced people. And how do you respond to those who say that it can't be done?
Well, to take the last part you say, when people say that it can't be done, I personally kind of take that as a challenge to be like, well, we'll see how much it can't be done. I've been on this team for roughly 17 months now. When I joined the team, like, I didn't know anything. Like, I didn't know the difference between a motion sensor and a shadow detector. Like, I knew nothing. But, you know, being surrounded by the people that I am and the people that I am on my team, you know, they honestly taught me everything that I know. So I went from being, say, a newbie that didn't know anything to being confident enough to go to a location and doing what needs to get done and knowing how to do it. But again, I'm no expert. So, like, I'm always looking to learn new things to help make this team the best that it can be.
You picked an amazing group to be with then, because there's some awesome people there. And what made you get into this, since you are so new?
So I've always been fascinated by, like, the TV shows, and, like, I grew up watching Ghost Hunters with my mom, who's in the comments. And like, I always just love those things. And, like, you know, like the cryptids, like, I love trying to explain the unexplainable, you know? And, like, I got into the team because my boyfriend, Brian, and he was on the team. So one of our, like, first dates was going on an IPR investigation. And, like, I was hooked since.
Oh, that's awesome. So you got to see a little dose of what you were in store for.
Right. And I was like, I need to be a part of this. I think I went on 2 investigations, and then I pulled Tony to the side and be like, listen, what do I got to do?
That's great. That's really great. Jessica, how about how you travel? I mean, you're kind of far from where everything is, and you have a really large commitment to this team, and it's a very professional team. But can you talk a little bit about how you're expanding in 2025, and would you like to tell us a little bit about that?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, my husband and I are in Pittsburgh, as most everybody else. So we joined the team in 2021, just looking to investigate some new places. We didn't have a lot of people around our area that we knew that were into this at the time. So this was a great opportunity to just, you know, meet some new people and visit some places that we wouldn't normally go. So we do travel quite a bit. A lot of the investigations that we go to are on the other side. So we're traveling usually about 5 hours to get there, and then investigating that night and driving home the next day. So it's an exhausting weekend, but it's also fun. So we are actually looking to expand to the west side of the state and doing an IPR West. And my husband and I would be spearheading that and trying to investigate not only this side of the state, but Ohio, West Virginia, you know, maybe even into New York. So I'm excited about that. If there's anybody, you know, who's watching this who's interested in that, please feel free to send us an email at interstateparanormalresearch@gmail.com, because we will be looking for some new teammates to, you know, fill that team over here. But I'm super excited about it. Not that I'm not going to investigate with the rest of the group on the other side, of course, but it'll be nice to be able to kind of expand westward a little bit. You know, I mean, we do a few things on our own to go to other states, but it'll be nice to have, you know, all of us together and kind of, you know, our own group over here to visit some new places and get some of these people to come to our side and see what we have over here.
That really can be exhausting. I mean, you put so much time and effort into packing, making sure you have everything. You have, you know, you have to put some sleep into it before you go. Then you're gone for how many hours and hours and hours, and investigating can take a lot out of you. The adrenaline is pumping through your veins, you know, and then you need to get home. So you have to drive that time. I don't think a lot of people realize how many hours go into what we're doing. You know, it's just, it's a long process. You have a lot of followers here. You have a lot of love going out, you guys. There's a lot of Sierra fans. There's a lot of fans. We have a question for you guys. Ufi asks, have any of the ladies experienced ghosts in the machine that might have affected their their respective organizational roles or jobs?
Can you repeat that question one more time, Maureen?
Sure. Have any of the ladies experienced, I'll even put this up too. Have any of the ladies experienced ghosts in the machine that might have affected their respective organizational roles / jobs?
I don't know what he means by ghost in the machine, but have we experienced ghosts that affect our organizational roles or jobs? Is that my take on it? I guess I got lost on the in the machine part.
Or maybe if it's affecting equipment, for example, like when we're trying to go live on TikTok and our phones stop working and things like that. I mean, we've definitely had that happen.
Yep.
So
Ufi,
in that respect, it has.
Ufi, do you want to maybe elaborate on that a little bit?
Well, Megan can speak on that. Our TikTok queen up here.
Yeah, Megan. Yeah.
She's the live one.
That happened once or twice.
Yeah, so I run the TikTok page, and we try to go live every time we're on a location. Usually we go live at 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So all night long, the websites and everything else will be working on my phone, and then immediately when it's time to go live, nothing will work. And then once we stop trying to go live, everything works again. Sometimes mid-live, there was actually one place, and maybe you guys can remind me which place it was. We were live. My hands were like not on the screen. Actually, in fact, I think it was on a tripod, and something hit stop on the live several times that night, and then we had to go back and like put it back on again. So it definitely does affect when we're trying to go live on social media sometimes.
I know we've had some connection issues too from time to time. That's happened as well.
Right.
I one time when I was trying to do a Facebook Live, my phone went into SOS mode for no reason at all.
Oh, maybe the ghost needed some help. I've seen where that happened with us a couple of times, where we were on location or we were investigating someplace and everyone's gear started to malfunction for some reason, or the batteries were drained. As a matter of fact, somebody had their battery drain on one of their pieces of equipment, and then a few minutes later, the battery was completely back up again and then drained immediately again.
Wow.
We actually kind of caught that at a location in Columbia, Pennsylvania, where we have a deadlight that it looked like on camera that it just died, which, batteries die, which is fine. And then like 12 minutes later, you see a little shadow in the bottom corner, and then the light goes completely brighter than I've ever seen a dead light go. So they definitely do mess with our stuff.
Yeah, sometimes I wonder if they just don't want to be seen.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that. I think somebody had that happen the last time we were out. They just kind of play with everything and they kind of avoid, and then all of a sudden it starts working again.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. We just had that issue this weekend with several cameras that just stopped working, and we would go and turn it back on, and it would record for a few minutes, and then it would shut back off, and then we would go to the other room, same thing. It was like 3 cameras that kept doing the same thing in different places.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Ufi just said that, so that must mean what she was talking about.
Okay, good.
Todd and Carmela want to know, what is each of your most oh my god moments during an investigation?
I already got mine.
So then you go ahead.
We were investigating up here in New York at Wildwood Sanitarium in Salamanca, New York. And this is a location that's like 25 minutes from where I live. And I was up there on the second floor. They have a room that they call the doll room, respectively, because it's filled with porcelain dolls. And I was in there by myself. There was a couple of other team members that were on the other side of the second floor. Nobody was on the third floor. And there's a small porcelain doll that fell off of the shelf and landed. It hit the couch, bounced off the couch, and hit my feet. But from where the shelf was, it had to come off with a trajectory to land where it was. And that was like a I like there's in the video I was like, what the, like I was ready to retire.
If you go on our
started,
TikTok
honey.
page, it's that video.
Yeah, it's on the TikTok page.
Yeah.
You just got started. You can't retire yet. You have lots more to learn.
I do, but at that moment I was like, I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
That's one of my favorite places, by the way.
Really?
Oh, I love it there.
Listen, next time you go, let me know, and Brian and I can drive the 25 minutes to get there. Like it's not bad at all.
I'm so much further than that, but I would absolutely go with you again.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're in.
I actually drove by it today with somebody I work with just to take a picture of it. So it's really not that far at all.
It's really. I'll have to tell you something that happened with me there.
Please do.
Yeah. All right. Who's next?
So I can go.
Okay.
Mine was at Prospect Place in Ohio, and it is part of the Underground Railroad. We were having a team session, so we were all in the basement of the building. There is this, if anyone's ever been there before, there's this room to the side, and apparently that's where they would hide all of the slaves until it was time to kind of go on to the next stop. So we're all down there, we're having an EVP session. There was another team there that radioed to us. And you guys know during investigations, whenever a radio goes off, it's going to light up the room while the equipment's going to go off.
Mhm.
So we're sitting in this dark room. I'm sitting across from the room where they supposedly hid all of the slaves. The walkie goes off. Everything in the room lights up. So suddenly we're going from a pitch black room to like a room that is lit. And I look over and I see a man standing in that room. He's kind of hiding, like, so half of his body was like peeking out. He looked like he was older. To this day, I can remember long curly brown hair down to his chin. He had overalls on. And I jumped because you're not expecting to see someone in that room staring straight back at you. And it was gone within like 3 seconds, gone.
Wow.
So that was an experience.
We call him Yoder.
What was that?
Mhm.
We call him Yoder.
Yeah.
Tony said that too, and he's laughing.
Yeah. So we went back there last year and I tried to chit chat with Yoder again, but nothing happened. But still, that was one of the most like profound experiences that I've had while investigating.
That's a good one.
Very cool. Jessica?
Okay. Oh, well, I guess the one that kind of caught me off guard the most is we were at Fort Mifflin, and we were in the like the mess hall or whatever it's called, and my husband and I were just in there alone doing a little investigation, and we were sitting on a bench, and there's like a wall, like a fake wall right in front of us. It was probably only about 4 feet from us, and all of a sudden a shadow came in and went straight across the wall, and it was so visible that we both literally jumped and were like, did you just see that? Did you just see that? So that's the only time, like, that, well, not the only time, but one of the first times that something actually caught me off guard, because it was so close to me, and it was, unmistakable. I mean, you couldn't miss it. It was right there.
Tony said, don't forget the door jiggle.
At the
The door
Battleship,
jiggle?
North Carolina.
In the hallway.
Oh, where? Prospect Place? Is that what he's talking about?
Battleship, North Carolina, he mentioned.
Oh,
So you had
that
two.
place is crazy too. That place is crazy. Like that, yeah. You go into the Battleship, and it's constant sounds everywhere you go. You'll hear footsteps, you'll hear shuffling, you hear dragging. We went for a public investigation, and we got an EVP. It was somebody's birthday, and they said, "Can you wish so and so a happy birthday?" And we play it back, and clear as day, you hear "Happy Birthday." So that place is very, very interesting.
Cindy, what's yours?
That's a tough one. I'll be honest with you. And it sounds like each location we go to, there's usually a little niche that happens there that catches my attention. I can't say there's one big one. Samuel Miller Mansion has had some real interesting events that I've seen over the years. You're sitting in quiet. The one time in particular, we were working with a Phasma box. upstairs. And I guess it surprised me how accurate and responsive the answers were. They actually pertained to the moment of what we were talking about. It wasn't like, well, what's the weather like outside? And it doesn't pertain, or who's in the room. And they actually start naming names. It was like, wait a minute, they actually realize you're standing right here. They called you by name. They called me, they called 2 other teammates that were right in that room that I didn't expect. I guess I figured they were just going about their business, doing their own thing. Oh, I figured they were just doing their own thing. I didn't expect them to kind of respond. The one, and actually I see in the comments, Tony, thank you for jogging my memory on this. He is correct. The only time I have actually seen with my own eyes was something at Pennhurst. Probably about a year ago, I'm going to guess. This April would have been a year. It was a black thing. It almost looked like if you could take a 12-year-old, maybe an 11-year-old, completely black shadow, turn it upside down, almost like a baby would crawl, and it scooted right across the ceiling. I'm yelling for the rest of them to come see this because totally flummoxed. You're right. I did. I totally lost it on that one. Never actually saw something move. No one else got to see it. Unfortunately, there was no camera on it, so it's strictly a personal experience. But yeah, that's a biggie. Thank you for the assist. I appreciate that.
Super cool. I've seen some really, really amazing things myself. That would be up there, I think. That would be amazing.
We're going back to Pennhurst actually in another month, and I'll be looking to see if he's there. That was in the infirmary at Pennhurst. I'll be looking to see if he, she, it. I couldn't tell you. It was a head. I couldn't see hair. I'll be looking for it when we're back.
Yeah, the best thing is to, like, when you do go back to a place, to look to see if the similar things are there, and to see if they do communicate with you the same, even the same way they did the last time, or if they remember your name, or whatever. Tony saying that he loves you all, and Rob can't wait for Pennhurst.
Wait, is Rob going to Pennhurst? Please.
Maybe he's surprising you by going.
Rob, she's told me that. I hope you know this.
Rob,
they're gonna hold it going.
Rob, if you go to Pennhurst, you're on my team.
There you go.
Do you guys play games with each other, like take teams and? No.
Wait, what do you mean by play games?
Like, do you take 2 teams and you try to see who gets the best evidence, or?
No.
That's actually a really good idea, though.
Yeah.
We should try that.
See, you said play games, and immediately I thought of Cards Against Humanity at an Airbnb.
Oh my gosh.
We have fun both on investigations and in our downtime, Airbnbs, etc.
Sorry, my phone is freaking out. Just started playing this.
That's weird.
It was meant to be heard.
Megan, Emily saying hello.
Emily.
I think that you should treat investigations like you would with everyday life. Whatever you do in everyday life, you can do with that. Just as the deceased are living, treat them kindly, treat them the same. Go in, say hello, introduce yourself. Ask them, just talk to them like they're a stranger that you're meeting for the first time, instead of saying, "What date did you die?" Like that kind of thing. Yeah. Talk to them like, what is your favorite music? Or don't ask them questions that would upset them.
Mm-hmm.
What's your wife's name? What are your children's names? What did you do for fun? What was your career? Those kinds of things. And a lot of people go in really standoffish and angry.
I think every time we go, for instance, we'll do a walkthrough. And so whenever I go into a new location, I will walk through and I'll introduce myself and I'll say like, hello, we're going to be here for a few hours tonight. We want to learn about you, et cetera, et cetera. once we go into a room and we have a group doing like an EVP session, we'll all go around and introduce ourselves. And we always like thank them for allowing us in their home, because again, it's their home at the end of the day. So we always try to go in very respectful to all of these places. And I think when you go in respectfully, you get good results.
Yeah, I agree. Jenny said go into and meet them like you met them at a bar. Jenny, I don't know if you want to do that though. You never know what you're going to get from somebody in a bar. No, but I know what you mean. Jenny's a great researcher. She's probably one of the best investigators I've investigated with. Hello, I'm Megan. You're going to be on TikTok tonight.
I'm going to be on TikTok.
Well, yeah, I think he's saying that as in like you're walking into a house, be like, "Hi, everybody! Like I'm Megan. Like I'm here. You're gonna be on
Into the
TikTok."
comments. By the way, for about an hour, you're going to be on TikTok.
That's funny. Has anyone captured like a full body apparition or anything on camera? Hi, Ginge.
I have not.
Megan, did we catch Yoder on any film?
We did not. And I noticed
Okay.
many of times when we'll go into places, it's almost like that when you're seeing these apparitions, it's like a camera isn't around at the time, or the camera's facing the other direction. So if we go back to a location again, we will try to set up a camera in the area where we saw something. And then of course, doesn't.
Mhm.
So as far as I know, we've never caught a full body apparition. I feel like that would be like the holy grail. It would be great if we did.
Oh,
but
yeah. That's what everybody's looking for.
Mm-hmm.
No, we didn't catch Yoder, but he did. Remember, Tony took pictures afterwards, and
We
there
did.
was like that black kind of mist that he took 3 pictures, and it kind of disappears behind the doorway.
There's a
So there was
picture.
that.
I'm sorry, Jess, what was that?
I just said, so there's that. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like a black shadow that's on the
Mhm.
side. So not on video, but we do have a picture of what looks to be a shadow in that area.
So we have Tony saying that there was a shadow guy in Samuel Miller basement in the laser grid. Yoder's pant legs and shoes. Lynn said, what about the one where Brett got bit?
Ooh,
We didn't get that on camera though.
Emily
that's
said,
complications.
Emily said they are smart, they know, or they drain the batteries.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think that when they're saying that some of them were like almost caught, or they were like, it's not a full body apparition, or?
Yeah, I mean, I think that may have been the same person that Megan had seen, that was just kind of there that we did catch. We've definitely gotten a couple things in laser grids, because there was also one on video up at the Hinsdale house the first time they went up there. And I think there was also one, if I remember correctly, back at George Taylor house that we got a while back as well in the laser grid. So, I mean, we've definitely seen some things go through, but we don't have any, concrete, that's a person standing there, I don't think, that I at least know of.
What about the one that Tony was dancing with? Tony, are you dancing with ghosts now?
So
Maureen, you want to take that?
Okay. So Tony absolutely, like, a fun game we like to play, because you've mentioned games earlier, is like if we're in a location and we're not really getting a lot of like responses or anything, usually it's me, I'll be like, hey, if you guys want to see Tony dance, light up a ball, set off the worm pod. And there's times where it'll be like no activity, nothing goes off for like 20, 30 minutes. I'll say that and a piece of equipment will go off. And it's like, hey, like just checking, like if you want Tony to dance, set off that cat ball again. Cat ball goes off again. So then Tony ends up dancing to Careless Whisper at New Egypt Historical Society.
By the way.
He's got a dance there. He danced.
Does he sing?
No.
you got to get the singing in there too. Otherwise, it doesn't count.
Agreed.
Dancing to Barry Manilow.
But I
We're
will
gonna
say
get it. He said.
with our shenanigans, so it's okay. He's a good
See, now
sport.
with our investigations, we have a dancer as well. I hope he's watching. Tim Dalton likes to dance with large dolls when we're investigating.
Nice.
Yeah. So that brings out the spookiness too. Right, Jenny? She said this is genius.
I mean, it doesn't always work, but sometimes it does. And we get to record videos of Tony dancing.
Mhm.
He said Memphis Mayfire.
That's right. He was singing Memphis Mayfire downstairs at Kutztown University. We did an investigation there with Kutztown's paranormal team that worked there at the campus. And you're right. Tony started singing Memphis Mayfire. You are absolutely right.
Yeah. So we should have a competition. Tony dancing and singing, and Dr. DR60 with Lucinda.
I mean, it sounds like a great little battle.
Yeah, we could do it online live and see who wins.
I
We
love
should
that.
definitely get that going.
I want to see this.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I
So-
love that idea. Let's make it happen.
Mhm.
The subject and saying they hit cat balls and REM pods. Oh my gosh, this could be too much. Alexis Dickerson said, I'd love to see that. I think we should all see that.
We should.
Jenny
I think-
Galucci, I think we should get Tim Dalton in here. What's that?
I think they should be side by side, and I think they should be going.
Maybe
Yeah.
we should do 2 teams and see what happens. Oh, that's true. Jenny said we had a spirit respond to the Backstreet Boys at Hinsdale. She and Nicole Civittoni.
Interesting.
I will say just a little fun fact. I live 15 minutes from the Hinsdale house.
That's true.
Next time you go there, let me know.
Donna Hansen says, what are your opinions on why ghosts are so elusive? They are willing to do EVPs more than actually showing themselves. Why do you think they hide all the time?
That's a really good question. That's my mom, by the way.
I don't know if they do it. I mean, sometimes I think they do it purposely, but other times, like Tony said earlier in the chat, sometimes they might just move too fast from what our cameras can pick up.
Mhm.
Well, they do show themselves the way they want to be seen, right?
Mhm.
So what if they're not showing themselves at times because maybe they don't know that how they actually look? And what if they're scared that they look not so great?
Yeah.
That's true.
And they do travel interdimensionally. I do believe that, Tony, because I don't necessarily think that there might be a heaven or a hell. I think you create your own heaven and hell.
Mhm.
And I think that you jump, sometimes you're here and then you're here, then you're here, then you're here. And that's why we can see them sometimes. So I do think that they are traveling at maybe the speed of light. So maybe they don't even know that we're not catching them because we see them so quickly and then they're gone.
And Cheryl made a good point too. Like maybe it just takes too much energy to be able to manifest that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because sometimes we see them and then it's like, and it's so fast. It's like to try to get our cameras out and get everything ready. And that's why sometimes, a camera that's like taking pictures so quickly catches it, but we don't.
Mhm.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think that this is a predominantly male field? Do you think it was? Do you think it's becoming more predominantly male? How do you feel about that?
Who wants to take this one?
You look like a good one, Meg. Go for it.
I'm trying to gather my thoughts for this. So
I think it started as a predominantly male field. That's what you saw for the most part. But I honestly, I think more and more as you look, I do think women are coming into the field more often. We were at a Paracon this past weekend. Uh, yeah, Saturday. Sorry, days were blended on me there. And I actually had a person come up to me and say, is this an all-female paranormal team?" No, we're split, but that's what they were. They're starting to see things, and that was one of the questions she asked: "Is this an all paranormal, or is this an all-girl paranormal team?"
Mhm.
I am seeing it more and more when we meet up with other teams and we do collabs, or we go to even a meeting like this. There are more and more women that I'm finding in the field where you're right. Initially, I think it was more of a male dominated field,
Mhm.
but
Oh, it is.
I just don't see it as much anymore. I mean, I don't know that it's an even 50-50 split, but I think it's pretty close, at least from this area that I come across.
Mhm.
I think women have always been part of the paranormal world. You've learned Warren, for instance.
Yeah.
I think even at like the UCLA, like in the 1960s, 1970s, they had a department there for paranormal research. I know at one point one of their directors was a female. So I do think that females have played a role in the paranormal field. I do think, like Cindy said, I'm seeing it more and more that females are out there more. For instance, on our social media, more females follow us than men do. And when it even comes to viewing our videos, it's more females than men. So I definitely think that the field is growing, and I think females are joining and getting more involved.
Sure.
Anyone else?
I think they about covered it. I mean, it
Yeah.
started out like, on, again, like the TV shows and stuff like that. It was mostly all men. But I think that just now with, the paranormal world growing more of an interest to everybody, women are coming out and being like, hey, I want to do this too. Cindy
Mhm.
mentioned the Paracon that we were just at, and we met an all-girl paranormal team,
Yeah. I think it started with the Fox sisters, and it was kind of like Tony just said, kind of taboo, and it was thought that they were frauds, and it was thought of as women kind of just being fake and trying to raise money and take money from people and like snake oil salesmen. And then the more scientific side of things, that was the male side of things. So women were kind of gypsies and men were more doctors. So it was like we were thought of as a hoax, or the psychic mediums and the gypsies and the tarot card readers were on one side and the doctors and the researchers were on the other side of things. But it started to blend together, and it eventually kind of, Jenny, you'll love this one, paranormal lasagna itself together. That's her term. I'm going to give her credit for it. And I think that it started to not be so male dominated. And I don't think it ever really was. I think that it was more, the men were more respected, whereas
Mhm.
now it's both are respected. And that's a great thing, especially since it's International Women's Month, which I find amazing, because that glass ceiling is no longer there. It's just getting better and better for us. And we have more opportunities with everything that we're doing. So I wanted to see what you guys thought, because I think a lot of people are saying, oh no, that it's more men because they seem to be on TV a lot more. But
Mhm.
I think that, I don't know, maybe the women aren't as pushy or as aggressive when it comes to doing things like that. But I think we're going to see a lot more of that coming up, because we're kind of getting out there and doing more of the research now. Um, what do you think about women doing podcasts, and do you think that it's better for women to start with that and then keep going, or do you think it's better for them to just start at the top? What's your thought on that?
I mean, the first thing that pops into my head is go big or go home. There's nothing that us females, there's nothing that that the men can do that we can't do. You know?
I agree.
So, like, if you want to start all the way to the top and get that dream, get that TV show, do whatever, go for it, boo-boo. You know, if you want to start off by doing podcasts, go for it. There's no written rule book about how these things go.
You're right.
So
I think you could do all of them at the same time.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I find a lot of times when the women all work together, that also helps to achieve that goal too.
absolutely.
I think the female brain works so much differently than men. And I always tell my husband this. You can come home after a long day and sit on the couch and watch TV. And then your phone rings and you're stuck on it. And I'll try to talk to you. And you're like trying to listen. But I'll be on the phone and I'll be like holding a baby and making dinner at the same time and writing notes and doing my podcast at the same time. We could do like 9 things at the same time where they're like, no, I'm on the phone. Like, that's the only thing I could do at one time. We can be, and I'm sorry, guys, this is not against you because I love you all. You know that. But like women tend to be able to bounce and do several things all at the same time. So like, don't rule us out, guys, because we got this. We rule the world. But
I'll be hearing that song in the background the rest of the night. Thanks, Maureen.
girls. There was a question somewhere. I don't want to forget anybody's questions. I'm sorry. Did I forget one? Okay. Thoughts on whether spirit interactions occur more with males or females, or depending on the location and history of the location?
I think
Meg, you want to think about Paoli and the bridge?
yes, perfect example.
Yeah, so we have a place we go often, Paoli. We do public events there as well. And at Paoli, they have this bridge. The significance of the bridge is that, well, essentially with Paoli in general, it was a sneak attack by the British. When the British got onto the battlefield and started attacking, several of the soldiers ran to a swamp right where the bridge is. And then they hid in the swamp overnight, thinking that they were the only one in the swamp. And when daylight came, there was like 50 of them in the swamp at the same time. So there's a lot of emotion near that bridge. But you also have soldiers who were young. And so when there is a girl on that bridge, they'll communicate with her more than they would a man. Also, too, with a man there, they might think that it's someone from the army. So they're not going to talk as much as they will with a female that's there. So we will get a lot of interactions from females on that bridge. And then when a male goes on the bridge, it just stops completely. So I think sometimes it has to do with the location. Other times I think it goes with the approach. I've seen a mix.
Yeah. When we were in Gettysburg, we were in a field hospital and we were talking and 7, and the only answers that were coming out were to my husband, and he was a sergeant for a police department. And when he said, I'm a sergeant, what is your rank? And it was private. So when he was saying private, I'm asking you to show me blah, 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 or I'm asking you to tell me, they would only answer him. They would never speak to me or our daughter. So they wouldn't talk to females, especially not my daughter. They would call me ma'am, but they would hardly ever speak to me at all. They would always direct it towards my husband. And he said, they talked a lot. It was a big, long conversation, long sentences. They would answer him with sir or sergeant. And then he said, we're going to go upstairs now. And it was known that the upstairs had like a malevolent spirit. And when he said, we're going to go upstairs now, they said, please don't, sergeant. And it was like a warning. So when we got up to this upstairs, it was filled with toys. And we said, who is up here? And it said, I'm a little girl, but it was a male voice and it was very deep. And my daughter got grabbed on the arm and it was a hot handprint. And she jumped backwards, almost fell down the stairs. And when we went back downstairs, we took the box with us and it said, "I told you not to go, miss."
Oh wow.
Wow.
So it was really weird. I mean, like, it definitely
Wow.
tells you, like, I mean, it talks to you like it knows you in human form, and it's either, you know, talking to you as a male or a female, or whether it knows you or doesn't know you. And that's definitely something. So it's going to talk to you as it's real life, which is super interesting.
Yeah,
What's one of your favorite moments from being on the team?
Ooh,
That's a good one.
that's a hard question.
Is
It is.
this going to be funny?
I mean, I could tell you a funny story. I don't know if Cindy would appreciate me telling a funny story.
We like funny stories. Go for it.
Okay, sorry, Cindy. I have to give the viewers what they want.
Mhm.
So we were at the Airbnb when we drove out to Prospect Place in Ohio. And, you know, we drove in the day before the investigation. Brett and Jess brought Cards Against Humanity. I can't look at Cindy when I tell this story.
I do love you, but you're getting shortchanged a meatball next time.
Okay, that's fine.
Can I go first?
There you go. Get your way.
Cindy has never played Cards Against Humanity in her life until this very moment.
No.
And we all look at Cindy as like the mom of the group, and she's like the innocent one, like has to deal with all of our shenanigans. And Cindy got a card. I don't know. Am I allowed to say it?
Cindy's never heard this word before, didn't know this word even existed, and didn't know how to pronounce it.
I think I know where you're going with this one.
Thought it was
Yeah.
a pastry. Thought it was a pastry. It started with the letter B.
Mhm.
And she's like, I don't know what this means. And I read the card, lost my mind, told everybody what it was. Everybody lost their mind. And one of our teammates was like, I'll tell you what it means, Cindy. So he gets up from one side of the table, goes to the other side of the table, and he leans down like he's going to whisper. And he's like, it means. And then, so it was a great time. It was a great time.
That was a good trip. It was a fun night.
Cindy, you'll never forget that word again, will you?
I will not. I will definitely not. It was priceless when I came home to.
Well, Tony just told everybody what it is.
Well, this way or not.
To explain this word. I did not need to know that my son knew what this word meant. He is an adult, but I did not need to know. My son looked at me and knew what that word was, and my husband looked at me and he knew what that word was. So I was obviously in the closet with that word.
I got that card myself. It was followed by princess, right? Wasn't it?
I think so.
I don't know if princess was on that card, but you know what that card is.
Yeah.
It's a funny
God.
card.
We were playing with some family members. I think my mother was one of them.
Oh,
That was interesting. Yeah. And she had to have it explained to her.
You're not the only one, Cindy.
No, but my mother was one of those women who said things that they were like really inappropriate, but she didn't mean it and didn't understand it. So it was more hilarious. And then when she heard that, she was like, but I don't like, what is that? Like she was trying to act it out. And we were like, that just made it worse. It was funny. It was really funny. So I can understand this totally.
There's so many good memories that like it's hard to just like choose one.
Yeah, I'm sitting here trying to think. I feel like there's just so many. Brett and Jess with the bats at Prospect.
Oh my God.
yes.
The bats. Yeah. My husband has a hard hat that he wears when we go to locations because he's afraid of bats hitting him in the head. And the last time we were at Prospect Place, there was a few bats that were coming at us. And I was actually in a room collecting equipment at the end of the night. And he came in to help me. And I said, "Oh, there's a bat in this room back here." And, little did I know, he took off at that moment. As soon as the word bat came out, he ran, literally ran. And you have to go from one room to another room. So I'm gathering equipment and I'm watching this bat, and I turn and you step up to go into the room. And as I turn, a bat comes right at me, hits me in the stomach. And I'm holding all this equipment, trying not to drop everything because I freaked out because I didn't know there was another bat in the other room. So now both bats are in the same room with me, and they are swooping the ceiling, coming down at me. And I'm hovering next to this table, yelling for help. Nobody's there to help me. My husband abandoned me. Eventually I just had to gather everything and run. And I survived, but I almost broke my ankle stepping out of the room because I forgot there was a step down coming out of that room as well. But I made it and I survived. And, I said, "Brett, where were you?" And he's like, I heard that and I took off. He's like, "I think I was running in, in place for a minute before I ran." I'm like,
Oh
Megan,
good to know.
Yeah, Megan, you got buzzed by bats live on TikTok at Prospect the first time.
Yeah, we were upstairs in the ballroom on the third
Talk
floor.
about regroup.
That's right.
Yeah, we were all live. I think it was on a Facebook Live.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, we had bats dive bombing us. Live. That was fun. It was a lot of fun. We have a member on the team, Brian, who is afraid of clowns. He has a phobia, terrified of clowns. We investigated Essex Fire and Police Museum, and they have Bozo the Clown's bicycle there, and it's hanging from the ceiling. And me, Sierra, and Brian go into this room to do an EVP session. Brian's behind me. We just walked into this room. Sierra looks up and goes, "Oh, look, the bike is swaying." I turn around and Brian is gone. He was 3 feet to the wind. I've never seen anyone move the speed of lightning. He noticed it before we did and left. He was out.
We literally turned around to be like, "Hey, do you see?" And
gone.
There's nothing else. You hear him leave.
Oh my gosh.
We have a little bit of fun in this team while we're investigating.
It sounds it. That's a lot of fun. Oh my God. So I asked this of every guest. What is your absolute favorite place to investigate and why?
Megan, you want to start us off?
Yeah, I think so. Again, on the TikTok, we do have a video of this, and mine has changed. I think maybe some of ours have changed since the video was made. I go back and forth between a couple locations, but I think my favorite is the Samuel Miller Mansion. Right now, it's my haunted manor. The reason being is that there is a lot of unique history, and there's also a lot that is not out there that we're still uncovering about the location. There's also tons of activity, and you never know what you're going to get. Between footsteps, seeing shadows, hearing someone call your name, hearing voices, the responses we get during EVP sessions. It's a great location, and I highly recommend people to check it out.
Nice. Sierra?
I'm stuck between two, because I'm also going to say Sammy Miller Mansion. I've had plenty of experiences there. It's just, I don't know. I feel most at home when we go to this location. I'll walk in and I'll walk into a certain part of the area and be like, "Oh, hey, I know who's back here. Hey, how's it going?" We're not even investigating at that point. But another one is Licking County Jail in Ohio. That is a really solid place. Our team, we were doing this big group session, and we were all in different cells on one floor, and out of nowhere there was this huge bang in our teammate Ray's cell, and it like echoed through the whole thing. It's like somebody, it was almost the sound of the jail cell door like slamming shut. And like while I was doing this, Megan was on Phasma. She was was doing Estes, and he says, "Get out or get in." It was get in, and then boom, the door shut. So like I've only been there once though, so like it's definitely at the top of my list. But I feel like if I have to choose, it would be Samuel Miller.
The bang was so loud. I was several cell blocks down from him, and I felt the vibration sitting on one of the bunk beds. That's how loud it was.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Jess?
I'm, one of the best places we went was the USS North Carolina because it was so active and there was so much to see and hear. But I also always go back to Hillview Manor, which is only about an hour and 15 minutes from us. That's one of our favorite places. We go there a few times a year, just like on our side, myself, my husband, and a couple friends. So I feel most at home there.
What do you think was the most like predominant thing that happened to you there?
At Hillview?
Yeah.
Or at honestly at Hillview, we don't. It's weird because I don't get a whole lot. I mean, the first time we went, the biggest thing we went is we had a bolt thrown at us. So that's what kind of kept us coming back. We were down in the boiler room, and there's the ghost of a guy who is a big Steelers fan, and they always said, don't provoke him, don't say anything, against the Steelers. Well, sure enough, my husband had to make a couple comments. Well, then there was like 4 of us in the room, and him and a friend were talking, and me and this other girl were looking at my phone to go through some pictures, and all of a sudden this thing whizzed past her head, and we hear like this metal go ding ding ding, like bounce across the floor. And so immediately we turn on our flashlights, and there's this bolt laying on the floor.
Oh.
And she's like, I literally felt it hit my hair as it went by, and we were the only 4 people in the room. But yeah, but after that, it's just like there's something about the place that it gives me the chills, which is what I look for when I go to places. That's why I love, asylums. I love jails, hospitals, things like that, because I want that scare factor.
Yeah. And that's a big thing to happen, because usually you'll get, EVPs or whatever, but to actually have something like a poltergeist activity happen, that's big. That's what a lot of people are looking for. Cindy?
Cool.
I'm going to have to, and actually when Megan alluded to the video she mentioned before asking about the favorite place, I'm going to have to stick with it, but it's the same. It's Samuel Miller Mansion, now dubbed as My Haunted Manor. That is my favorite. I like, you could see where it's been built on over the years. You can really get lost in that place. It's deceptively larger than what you think it is walking in. It's got a lot to it. We've had some really incredible experiences. I could go in, like Sierra says, you can walk to one section, set down a device, and you'll get immediate responses that'll come off. Not particularly fond of the basement. The basement is a hand-dug basement. Little rough, a dirt floor, hard to walk around, but very well worth investigating. The parlor's interesting. There is a cat that is not a ghost cat. It is a real cat named Spooky. You do have to watch your cat balls, because Spooky will play with things like that. Doesn't really mess with most of the other equipment, but cat balls, that's just open fair game for Spooky. The second floor, I really like. We've had a lot of great experiences up on the second floor. And it's one location that I have found, no matter, like all through the night, like you might get tired around 12, 1, but things start popping off after that time. Megan, you'll remember there was a time, it does happen upon occasion, where we lost a drop recorder, kind of like small little black thing, kind of like that. We lost a drop recorder, and we are tearing through the place at 3:00 in the morning. It's just me, Tony, and Megan looking for this drop recorder. Like I said, there's a basement, main floor, second floor, then the third floor. and the floors don't always like connect all the way through. Like you could go to the third floor in one section, got to go down to the second floor, go across, and pop back up. They don't. It's just the way it was built over time, different layers. We had one time in specific. We're up on the third floor. I would have bet anything that somebody broke in with construction boots, because you hear this thump, thump, thump. Like we're standing there on the third floor, all three of us, looking down over the railing, looking for somebody to pop in, looking for a flashlight. Nothing. Nobody's there.
And they're just like stomping.
It was loud. It was the loud. I have a hearing impairment, so for me to say it's loud, it is really flipping loud at that point to hear this. But it sounded like construction boots, like hard construction boots thumping across the hardwood floor. Like I said, we're looking for a head to pop out, somebody, a flashlight, nothing. We're standing there, nothing showed up. Call, nobody responds. So it's kind of a neat location, depending on, like I said, you're going to get it at all different times of the day. So that would be my favorite, would be Samuel Miller Mansion, My Haunted Manor.
Cindy, to add to that too, when that happened in my head, I didn't think this is a ghost. I'm thinking somebody didn't lock the door when they left and someone is in the building with us, which I sometimes think is more terrifying.
That could be.
But, you know, so we were listening to this stomping for a while. We're standing up there on the third floor in the quiet listening, and then it stops. So after a couple more minutes, we go downstairs. Mind you, all of our equipment is there. So a lot of money and equipment is on this floor. So if someone did break in, they would have stolen all of our stuff. And all the doors were locked. So that was a very interesting experience.
And way back when, if you remember right, we had the owner, like we were sitting in the parlor one time, and there's the door that goes up to the second floor. There's two doors off the one side, and then there's the one door in the back off the kitchen that has a big glass pane on it. And one time, I think we were sitting down, whether we were taking a break, eating, and all of a sudden the owner popped in through the back. We weren't expecting him at the time. So same thing. We're up there on the third floor with this drop recorder looking for this thing. Is it the owner coming through? Like, it didn't sound, it sounded like a real person coming through. But it's got some neat, it does. It has some neat, like I said, that was one, you weren't expecting it, but here's a real person that walked through. So you kind of have that half in the back of your mind, like, did Chris pop in to check on things? Well, wait a minute. It's really loud, but wait a minute. He's not answering. So it ain't Chris. He's not answering us. It's got a lot of little, like, niches like that, nuances to the building. It's kind of neat.
And it kind of makes you wonder, if a spirit is kind of weightless, or it is weightless, where does that sound come from? Like, they're not pounding their boots onto the, you know what I mean? Like, there's just a disconnect there. Where does that all come from? And how do you put that all together?
Yep. I need that Paranormal 101 book that explains how these things happen.
Yeah. Has anyone ever taken classes involving the paranormal, or has anyone thought about taking classes?
I personally have not taken any kind of classes, no.
Would you want to if it was offered?
I've taken
possibly.
a couple. I've done a lot of reading.
Yeah.
But nothing that explained that.
That would be an interesting thing to figure out.
Mm-hmm.
I personally would take a class. If I could find the time, I would love to.
That would be a great thing to talk about. I think, like, the idea behind how things connect, Anybody in the comment section, does anybody have a guess as to how that happens, or want to explain how it happens if you do know? How did all of you get involved in this to begin with? We know how Sierra did.
I know for me, I've always been interested in horror movies, psychics, like the whole paranormal realm. So it was almost like the next natural step, You know what I mean? Like, okay, now that I've watched it, I've read about it, now I want to do it. I wanted to experience it myself. Because you watch these shows, and as interesting as they were, watching Ghost Hunters and things like that, it's like, how much is it? How much can you believe? It's on TV. You know what I mean? Like, TV is made to be fake, and it's easy to fake things. So I needed to go out and see it myself. So I finally found a group of friends to get together, and actually Hillview Manor was our first place. And once I did it, I was hooked. I'm like, okay, I got to go back. I got to go somewhere else. I have to see what I can find. So every time it's like I'm looking for a new place to find a new experience. But yeah, that's how I got into it.
Cindy?
For me, it was similar. Interest in the paranormal, interested in the unknown. Used to read a ton of mystery books and things like that as a kid. I used to joke, my maiden name is Skull. And I used to joke every time, around that Halloween time, we would joke in the family about trying to order a pizza. Well, forget it. Don't ever give them your name at Halloween. They think it's a crank call. You're never going to get your pizza. It just doesn't happen. My family, the one aunt was very interested in genealogy, did a lot of research. I originally come from New Jersey. So Jersey Devil and all those kind of, the lineage back to Jersey Devil and things like that. There was always an interest in the paranormal. After my family was grown, that I didn't have little kids anymore, I went, all right, now's the time. I could actually, let's poke at that a little bit. And found a team that fit, found a team I could start to learn and grow and experience a little bit more. And I guess the rest is history for me.
Yeah. History does that.
Mm-hmm.
Megan?
So I grew up in a house that had a lot of activity. And as a kid, I was petrified of this. And so the adults in my life, they would just say, like, it's your imagination, or you were dreaming that, just because I think that they didn't want me to be even more scared. However, I grew up not having an understanding of what I was experiencing. So then I'm in high school and Ghost Hunters comes out on Sci-Fi. And so I would watch that. And I'm like, I'm not the only person who was having these experiences. So then I got even more interested in the paranormal. So then, you watch the shows, you read books. I'm also a huge horror fan as well. So when I see a post looking for investigators, I'm like, oh, I should try this out. One of the things I love to do is residentials, because my goal is to help a child that is scared, just like how I was scared,
Right.
and possibly help the family explain what it is that's there and then how to help them. So I got into the field for a couple of reasons.
How many residential cases do you guys do?
We have done, I want to say 6 or 7 that we've done. Were there, Cindy? What is
Like that.
In the last 2.5 years, yeah.
Yeah.
And we've got 2 more slated coming on.
Yep.
Anthony. Tony says 7, yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. I knew it was 6 or 7.
How severe are they?
Cindy, you could take that one.
Slippery slope. They went across the board. We've had some that, it's. I mean, you've probably seen the same thing, Maureen. There's some that are as simple as, grandma popped in, wants to visit, say hi, check on her son, make sure he's doing okay. Still doing the things, that she used to do when she was living. Okay, she'll stand, she'll wait, You could see the movement on the equipment. She's fidgeting around, she's watching, but she just pops in kind of to see what's going on. Same with Auntie, same thing. Pop in, how's everything going? Good, and then she blows out. Nothing really that's stuck. We've had cases, I will limit location for privacy. We've had locations that the homeowner will mention, after doing an investigation, oh, well, this makes sense because so-and-so had unfinished business. Okay, well, they know what they need to do and go handle it. We have had a darker case, not pleasant, won't get into that one, but definitely that was a darker situation. Handled that. I mean, it kind of, I hate to say it, but I guess we went from soup to nuts. I'm looking forward to the stuff in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've also debunked a lot of things too in residentials,
Absolutely.
which is fun and helping families, like, again, understand that it might not be paranormal. It's because you have high EMF in this room.
Right. That is one we had, yeah. And that was exactly a situation. We had one. Thank you, Megan. That's exactly the situation in the one house. It was very high EMF. And it was affecting them. I've never seen an EMF field through their bed, but they had so much plugged in. And then they also had, like, in the next room, it was a small property to begin with. And the very next room, they had a CB radio with an antenna double the length it's supposed to normally be. And with that, like, again, the EMF field was out of control. So once you tell them this is the situation, you really want to turn that CB radio off, maybe look into the older wiring, have that addressed, and take care of that. That was a good one, Megan. Thank you for jogging my memory on that one.
Yeah.
Teamwork.
That's insane when people, they kind of almost do it to themselves with either, coal or carbon monoxide. I'm sorry. It gets them dizzy and they start to see things and they hallucinate and their ears go a little wonky and their ears start to ring, and it can lead them to having an issue that they perpetuate themselves without even realizing it, and not saying that they're the cause, but they're completely ignorant to what they can be creating on their own.
That's exactly it. They're not aware that by this action, this is the outcome, this is your reaction to it.
Exactly. Jenny would like to know, how do you feel about objects being haunted and have you encountered that?
Excuse me.
I'm having a hard time jogging a memory of a specific haunted object. Although I will say the Essex Police and Fire Museum, that has a couple things that are objects behind glass cases. I'm having a hard time jogging a memory of a specific haunted. Like, a lot of times we're going in, we investigate at the house, but nothing's coming to my memory right off the top of my head of, like, you can narrow it down to this one thing that's causing the problem as far as a haunted object.
Now, Brett and I did have that at that residential that we did here in Pittsburgh with a mirror. This woman had a mirror in her house that a few different people had seen a woman in. And once we went in, we did our investigation and everything. We suggested that she get rid of this mirror, and she did. And immediately everything cleared up. I mean, there was her dog wouldn't even go in that room. He would, avoid the room altogether. Now he jumps up and sleeps on the bed when she's taking a shower. Like, it was a complete change just for getting rid of this one mirror. So that's the only thing I can think of, though. I haven't come across any other haunted objects anywhere.
And it's funny, as you mentioned mirror, Jeff, this weekend, same, when we were at Sayer Mansion, the one room had a mirror that they said would see a face in it, but we didn't come across that while we were there. There was no, if you looked in the mirror, there was no additional, like, face over your shoulder looking in. I haven't found that yet. Not that it's not there. I haven't come across it yet.
Mm-hmm.
I did, before joining the team, I will say that I have been to the Creeper Gallery in New Hope. That specifically has haunted objects. A lot of she collects them and then resells these haunted objects up there at the Creeper Gallery. New Jersey Paranormal, a lot of times will go investigate them, check them out. But I was a guest there. I wasn't really dealing with it myself.
And how does she know that these things are haunted if she's collecting them and selling them?
Some of them, I don't know her whole story because, again, I'm not involved with the Creeper Gallery.
Mm-hmm.
I know she has had things sent to her that they just wanted no parts of it, swear it's haunted. And another team will come in, a team that they have a connection with, that they work with, will investigate these items. I was only there the one time to check it out. They had some things like, I think the one that and if my husband was peeking in, I could see him really getting squirrely on this one. They had an actual human skull that was given to them, and they later found out it was part of a homicide investigation. As I'm sure as they were investigating and going through things, they couldn't talk a lot about it because it was an open homicide investigation where supposedly this skull belonged to a woman that disappeared. They couldn't talk about it. They couldn't give you a name, any of those details. But they have different items that they could say, okay, let's investigate these. It was for a short time. But you would see, okay, is a cat ball going off? Is a rope light going off? Are you getting interaction with equipment to respond to those? That's what we saw from our perspective. But the team that goes in and investigates, I don't know their view of how they're, I don't know what, certify, if you even want to use that word, how they say that, yes, it's a haunted object. I don't know all their ins and outs, but that's really a haunted object I was really come across.
So they do investigations of each of the objects as we would if we were doing an investigation of a place.
That is my understanding, yes.
And then each object is for sale? I've never been there, so I don't know what this place is like.
I know they are moving. They were, and actually, I'll tell you, there was a really good, I hate to pull out the foodie card, but there's a really good restaurant that's right at the opposite end of that block. They were on the corner there in New Hope. Beautiful area. And they are moving to a different location in New Hope. I believe they're packing up to move now. So you might want to check in. Like I said, it's called the Creeper Gallery. But New Jersey Paranormal, John Ruggiero, he usually oversees what goes on there with that location.
That sounds like a field trip waiting to happen.
It does.
It's just weird to me that they won't release the name of the person unless the homicide was not solved, but they won't release the name of the person, but they're selling her skull or his skull, or I don't know. It's just odd to me. Goofy wants to know, was the mirror resold or given away or labeled possibly haunted? She
it was actually it was thrown in the garbage.
No.
She threw it out. Actually, she gave it to her friend to throw out so that it would go out into the garbage that night. She didn't want it on her property. Mm-hmm.
Well, I can understand that, but why not turn it over to someone?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's just what she chose to do, but it worked for her. So, yeah.
I could tell you, Maureen, it was probably 3 years ago with this skull. At the time, they couldn't do anything with it. I don't know in the last 3 years if they've solved that case, but that particular item could not go anywhere. But she had other items that were claimed to be haunted, and those she would sell because it was under police investigation.
I gotcha. I just can't see someone thinking that a mirror is haunted and just tossing it out in the garbage. I mean, like, I'm a big believer in the mirror cracking, and then once it's out in the garbage, that they're going to throw it into the dump, and then once it goes into the garbage truck, it's going to be cracked into a million pieces. So who is that on? Is that on the person who tossed it, the garbage man? Who's in charge of that bad fate?
That sounds like a them.
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah.
I would want to
He got 7,000.
Oh my gosh, that's terrible. I don't know. I'm just glad it's not any of us here.
Mhm.
So Megan or Sierra, do you want to add anything to that? Do you believe in like the haunted objects or?
So I definitely think that spirits can like attach their energy onto objects. Um, as a team, like I think Cindy was saying, I don't think we've ever encountered it on one of our investigations.
Mhm.
Um, I
Not
can
yet.
tell you, I had a personal experience with an object that I think might have been haunted. I'm not sure. It was after college, so this was years ago. Um, I had a friend who was getting rid of, it was an antique room divider. She just gave it to me. So I was like, this is awesome. I used to collect antiques. So I brought it to my apartment. And after that, I was experiencing some weird stuff happening. So I kind of attribute it to the new divider that I put in my house. Um, so I don't know if it was, and never investigated it. I wanted to get rid of it, and I actually found a team of investigators who were looking for haunted objects. So I reached out to them and I said, I think I might have something. If you want it, you can have it. They said that they did investigate it, and they said that they did pick up like EVPs and whatnot. So,
Are you glad you got rid of it?
yes. Yeah, it was scaring. My then boyfriend, now husband, was freaking him out a little bit with the activity going on. So it
No
was more
wonder
him
happy marriage
pushing it
like
out.
that. Like I even believe that sometimes if you have, an engagement ring or a wedding dress or like something that you bought, like if you bought your wedding ring from a pawn shop, I don't know. Do you think that that's bad juju if you purchase something that you don't know where it was from and you give it to someone? Do you like if a person was murdered or they passed away and you take that wedding band and you don't know who that was, if you give it to someone, do you believe that there's bad juju in that?
I believe there could be, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, I personally do, but I feel
Because
like I feel like those who are in the paranormal field might think twice before, buying or getting a ring that was somebody's who passed away. But I
Mhm.
think for the average Joe, they might not even think about it. And I actually think about that all the time. Like what, people put things out on the street for free. Like what are you taking that might have energy attached to it, or, a
Yeah.
spirit attached to it?
Like here's
Yeah.
my engagement ring. Say my husband murdered me and then he took this because it was incriminating
Hmm.
to a pawn shop and he sold it. And then someone else didn't have the money for an engagement ring and they bought it at the pawn shop to give to their future wife. All these things start happening to that person. It has terrible negative energy already attached to it because of, a torturous death. Who's to say that
Right,
that's what it's from, you
right.
know? And we have no idea how many times that's happened to other people. That could have been, that wedding dress or that wedding band or that engagement ring or a pocket watch or whatever's attached to those things.
Hmm.
Right. Yeah. Whenever I have friends that will reach out to me because, they're having experiences in their house, the first thing I always ask them is, have you brought anything into your house that's an antique or something that was used before?
Mm-hmm.
Just to rule that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done the same thing, and I had a case like that where there was a problem in a house and their child was being bothered. And the person said, absolutely not. We don't, and I do ask, are you religious? What religion do you follow? Do you have anything new that you brought? Like, just as if you're allergic to something. Did you ever use a new detergent or whatever? Just same thing. Did you bring anything new into the house? Blah, blah, blah. No, 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 no. We've never done this or that. The first moment I walked in the door, there was a wooden placard that the husband made of Baphomet.
Oh.
I go upstairs and I'm going through each room just to investigate. There's a book about Satanism.
Yeah.
He has a shirt on that's like something of the satanic religion. I'm thinking to myself, you're lying to me. I've already done a check on their social media. They had been to something that was, you know, like seances and whatever. And I'm thinking, this is your child. This is not you. If you really want to have an answer, start thinking quickly, because I'm not stupid. I've been doing this a long time. I've had ability since I was a child. I'm picking up your energy. I'm watching you with your smirk. She's worked with children. I mean, give me an honest answer here. So as I'm sitting asking them questions, lie. And I said, I don't know if I'm going to be able to help you. She calls me a week later. She says, no one's in the house. I'm here by myself. My laundry basket's at the bottom of the stairs. It's the week of Halloween. There's a fire truck sitting at the top of her laundry basket, and there's candy on every stair. I said, well, do you want to answer my questions, or are you going to continue to tell me untruths? And she said, I don't know what you mean. And I said, I think we're still going to get to the same place. I don't think I'm going to be able to help you, because I know what's going on in your house. And she said, I don't understand. And I said, maybe you'll understand after we hang up. I hung up the phone. I got another phone call. It was getting worse and worse. And now the kid's screaming at the top of his lungs. I said, look, I don't know what you expect from me. I can't help you unless you're going to help yourselves. That's it.
Absolutely.
Honesty's critical.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. I think doing any residential, it's so much easier when the family is honest with you and they answer your questions, instead of trying to it's like pulling teeth trying to get answers from them. So yeah, I think it's so important for, if you call a team in to do an investigation, just being completely honest and truthful.
They have to be. If they're not, you're not going to, because you can't help that child. If the parent, I mean, you could help one of the parents. You can't help a child unless the parents are going to be honest. And the man literally sat there like this, with this smirk on his face. Like, I know that you understand. I don't know if she was lying to me for his sake, or if she was really that dumb. But she was involved in it as well, because I saw pictures online that were pointing in that direction.
Wow.
And I think that kind of leads to like one of the hardest things as investigators, especially when it comes to like residential cases, because sometimes you hit the point where you have to walk away, and when you do walk away, like you're like, there's a kind of guilt that comes with that. It's like, well, like I wanted to help but I couldn't, like, so you find yourself thinking like, wow, like tomorrow am I going to see like a news article or something crazy, like and you feel guilty. But however, if they weren't willing to provide you the information that we needed to help them, like, it's not on us. It makes you feel a certain kind of way.
I think it's a bigger problem when you have your own children, your own grandchildren, because you're around them all the time and you have feelings for them. But when you find out, and this was nowhere around me, I literally had to drive, and I wasn't charging obviously for the investigation portion of it, but she was a teacher.
Wow.
So that made it even more difficult, because I'm thinking, what if what if this is like overflowing into what she's doing? I don't know, and I can't ask any questions. And I literally pulled her aside and I said, you do understand what's happening here. I was kind of being vague, but she got the vibe. She knew what I was talking about, and she kind of just brushed it off. And I thought, you know what? You'll come back to me when something goes too far.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't heard anything since. Jenny said there was a story about a camera that it captures all kinds of images.
I think there's a Goosebumps movie or episode.
That's what I thought too, but maybe it was based off of a true story.
Maybe, but I'm pretty sure there's a Goosebumps, like either movie or episode or something that involves that. I used to love Goosebumps as a kid. I
liked it too. Uvi said, if your wedding ring is made from conflict diamonds, would that be a problem? Maybe not if it's diamond. Depending on the carats, maybe.
How much money do
you can get it? You can get it blessed or something. you know.
Yeah. See
Get
how many of the
cleansed.
women here are saying the opposite. um, Todd says, now that I think about it, had a Ouija board from Spencer's novelty store as a teen. It was left at a friend's house. Wonder what happened to it.
Might have to call that friend. Is he still a friend?
I was just going to say that actually. I had talked about this on another show. I went into a friend's house to cleanse it because she was having problems, and it was really weird stuff that was happening. I went into a closet, and it had built-in shelves, and it was kind of like a peak. And I saw like this weird centipede kind of thing crawling around the walls.
Mhm.
And there was a little boy sitting in the corner with his head down, and he had kind of like blacked out eyes. But I noticed the only thing in this room was a Ouija board. And I said, what is this doing in here? And she goes, isn't it cute? And I said, cute? Why do you have this? And she said, I bought it at a yard sale. And I said, what are you doing with this? It's not even that you bought it yourself. You got it at a Ouija at a yard sale. She goes, yeah, it's like from the 70s. It's really cute. And I go, get rid of it. Put it out in the garbage right now. I don't even want to see this back in here. You have no idea how many people have used it, who had it, who changed hands with it with somebody else. This is not something you should have in your house right now, because she had a bunch of problems she was going through. I said, get it out of here right now. She had a mirror in a dark corner. She had like those little elf doors in her house, which I really hate. She had like the little knobs on her dresser. They were the kind that like hung. They would be found flipped up. She'd put them down, they'd be back up again. I said, get this the hell out of your house. You do not need this. Of anything else that you have in your house, this should be gone.
Right.
Weird stuff.
A couple of the cases we've dealt with, they did have a tie to Ouija boards being in the property. So I completely understand your viewpoint on that one. No.
Yeah. She had drains in her basement floor. There were meat hangers in the basement. And the floor was concrete, and they started jackhammering it, and they got something out of the floor before she bought it. Very weird. Whole thing was weird.
Meat hangers in the basement, odd to begin with, for multiples. I could see but a drain in the floor, meat hangers.
She said they were making dried meats and wine.
I just don't see dragging that through a house to put it in a basement, but okay.
I didn't get that vibe in the house. I was getting very, my stomach was shaking, and I was getting all about the mob.
Oh,
I can see that.
interesting.
That was what was like here the whole time I was there. And the house was like split. Like somebody else had said here. Something was split and like built. That was it. It wasn't.
Did they have a wood burning? What am I looking for? A fireplace in the corner too, with the drain hole in the middle of the floor.
Yeah, right next to it, actually.
There's your quick get rid of.
Yeah, it was a weird place. Very weird. Oofy said, yes, Maureen, haunting her engagement ring. There's a story in there somewhere. That would be a good haunting story. Alexa said, hopefully it's been forgotten about. Don't need another 2020 Jumanji game repeat. Absolutely. But that would be a really cool haunted Jumanji story.
Yeah.
Jenny said it was a haunted camera, but yes, forgot the goosebumps. Alexa said, let's be honest, these ladies would be happy with ring pops instead.
Like me a good ring pop.
I like the ring pop. Alexa says, why is it always at a yard sale? Because they're trying to get rid of it and pass it off to somebody else for cheap. Or the movie Super 8. Todd said, nope, not me. On a serious note, one of my classmates passed away a few years ago, and she was with us using it. She had substance issues, could not possibly have been related. It could be. If she was still using it, maybe. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Using a Ouija board, I'm guessing, is what he's referring to.
Using the Ouija board while also using substances, or could have led to it. Maybe she was connected, like an attachment.
It's possible.
Absolutely.
Depends on how long she's been using it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if someone already has like the substance issues, I feel like that's opening the door even wider for something more on the darker side to be like, hey, I'm here. So
I
like,
agree.
don't use Ouija boards, don't do drugs. Like they're kind of in the same category.
Yeah, it's like darker. It's like dark energy then attaches itself to something that's dark too. And like you said, Sierra, it's like a door that opens that they're just like, hey, I'm gonna hang around now.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes those darker energies take either somebody that's inhibited or easily to manipulate. They're easy targets for them. So throw in substance abuse, I think that's easier to manipulate as well.
Absolutely.
Sierra, I think that this must be one of your family members, Stacy. She said, make sure to check any board games you buy at yard sales. People can be sneaky and hide those things in the box, which is true because they want to get rid of them if they've had problems. Some people even have, a mental condition, and they think it's because of the Ouija boards, or it could be the opposite. Something that happened to them that was traumatic led them to use black magic or voodoo or Ouija boards, and they think it's a mental condition when it's actually not. There could be a connection where they have an attachment.
Something's affecting too.
Jenny wants to know, have you encountered investigations or locations that forbid Ouija boards? Selma Mansion does. I have.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't thought of Selma immediately.
Yeah, we've been to Selma, but I don't think there's a location that we've been to that allows them in.
Yeah. The only place I've investigated that had one was the Grand Midway Hotel. They actually have one in one of their rooms.
Wildwood does.
Oh, yeah, that's true too.
Hinsdale. If I remember right, I think Hinsdale has a Ouija board in Mike's room on the first floor.
Yeah.
And they're kind of connected, so that would make sense.
But I can't, like she said, I don't think there's another location that we've been to. Most of them do not allow Ouija boards on location. Selma, correct, Jeannie. Thank you.
And then also, everybody on this team, Ouija boards are not a tool that we use, period, point blank, not going to happen kind of thing.
I'm sorry, what was the last thing you said?
Oh, I said that Ouija boards are not something that IPR uses as a form of investigating, and it's not ever going to be a thing, I don't think.
Yeah, I think a lot of people try to stay away from it because it is controversial.
Mm-hmm.
Although I believe that it is a form of divination, just like tarot cards or pendulums or dowsing rods or anything else. It's just what the intention is that you put into it. As long as you know what you're doing and you know what the intention you put into it and your perception behind it, as well as knowing how to use the board and saying goodbye properly. Although a lot of people are terrified of it and they don't want to get involved in it. So I think that a lot of people do shy away from it mostly.
There are so many tools out there to use. It's just not one that we, like I said, there's a lot of tools to use in this field. A lot of different devices, a lot of different pieces of equipment. That's just not one. IPR in general just does not use that tool.
Yeah, I think it's not really needed. You could use charms, you could use runes, you can use almost anything. Why go that route if it really is kind of the last thing to go to if you really don't need it?
But that's done with all the equipment and the team that we have. I think we'd run into 3 days long and we still are maxed at that point.
Yeah, you could do table tipping. You can do human pendulums. I mean, there's so much you can do. That's really not the way to go.
Nope.
Alexis says, fun fact, the entire IPR is protected magically. Sierra, you should tell them about your aura.
You know?
That was you.
I'm trying to remember what it is that she's speaking of.
You can pass if you
So,
want to pass.
so I will say that Alexis is my sister, and she's very witchy, I'll say. So she does her little boo thing, and you know.
Is she a Lil Witchy or is she a Lil Witchy?
I think she's like medium. She's a little bit younger than me. She's my little sister, so she's like dabbling in the witchy things. So all good things. She's not doing some crazy stuff.
Okay.
But as far as the aura, I think I'm gonna pass on that.
Okay.
I think that's an inside joke, Sierra.
I think it is too.
Okay. Todd wants to know what your thoughts are on Dybbuk boxes.
Well, I don't know what that is, so I don't know if I have a thought about it.
Anyone?
So
No,
Jess, you take it.
I was just gonna say I don't really have any thoughts on it. I've never read too much into them. I mean, I've heard of them, but I don't really have any thoughts on it. That's all I was gonna say. I'm sorry. I think there's a delay, so I didn't mean to interrupt you.
You're starting to like zone out now. Megan or Cindy?
I think it goes back to what we were talking earlier about the energy that is around objects and attached to them. So I think it goes back to that whole, if someone experienced something traumatic, could it be attached then to like a Dybbuk box? Especially the one that we all know about, that I think is in someone's museum that may or may not be legitimate. But regardless.
The name we shall not say.
Right. I think that I don't know if they came out and said that story was true or not. But regardless, yeah. So I think it just goes back to the whole, depending on what someone was experiencing at a time, could that energy then like go onto that object?
Okay. Cindy, what do you think? Or do you not want to answer?
Name we shall not say.
I always say I can't help it. It's the name we shall not say.
And also, I just got to correct myself real quick. When I said not legitimate, I meant the story of the Dybbuk box, not that person.
I think we got that.
Okay, make sure.
I haven't worked with a Dybbuk box. I have not worked with a Dybbuk box. I don't have any experience with it. I am loosely familiar with this story. I have not personally worked with one. When I actually check something out and I can actually, I hate to say it, but put my hands on it, put it through its paces, that's why we're an investigative team. That's what we do. We check things out. But maybe when I actually check out the Dybbuk box, I will have an opinion on it. Right now, sorry.
Gotcha. So a Dybbuk box was initially started by Jewish women during the Holocaust, and they took pieces of themselves, like coins, hair, teeth, whatever, wine, whatever they could get, and they put them inside of a box, and they locked it up kind of like a puzzle box.
Mm-hmm.
They put everything inside, and they used all of their intentions to, it was kind of like the Jewish version of voodoo, and put it into the box. I myself really do believe in intention and perception. So my thought is, if you have a bunch of women who are that pissed off, this is great for this month too in the show. You have enough pissed off women that are going to put that kind of intention into a box like that and lock it up. When that thing opens after so much time and it gets unleashed, you're in for some serious shit. Mm-hmm. So I believe in the Dybbuk box, because whomever opens it after that much time is going to get hit with like some huge wallop of hatred. Especially during the Holocaust, those women were angry women.
Sure.
Now, I can't say that it was serious, whatever happened to the whole eBay thing, and it might have been a scam, it might have been real, it might have been whatever. I can't say that that was something that was legit, because I would hope that these women put whatever that intention was on particular people, because you never unleash that kind of power on just everyone. But they were angry, so you never know if they, if they were thinking, I'm just going to put this on Hitler or Rommel or whomever. It could have just been at the world at that point because of what they were going through. But I truly believe that the anger that they felt, they were directing it somewhere, and it was inside that box.
Sure.
Yeah, 100%. I think that energy that again, like you're putting into that, and then it's pent up over time. Like you said, is you're unleashing Pandora's box almost,
Yeah.
So yeah, I believe that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's my take, Todd. I don't know if it's as much a Pandora's box, maybe kind of similar in some ways, but I don't know as much about Pandora's box maybe as I do about this Pandora. Wasn't
I
that
just
more?
you don't know what you're gonna get.
I think Pandora was more like the troubles of the world that went into that, where it sounds like the Dybbuk box is pretty much these specific people that put their emotions, their intentions, their feelings into it. I know I've seen, I'm not going to state show names, but a show where American Indians put their intention into the ground. That's what I'm correlating kind of like to this Dybbuk box, where the box, I guess, is a more contained item. But you've seen where, okay, bending on the shape, dying on the spot, curse the land, nobody will be happy here. Those kind of things we've seen and happen. But Dybbuk box?
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll tell, maybe.
We have 3 questions. Based on your current experience, what is the first thing you would say to someone asking you about exploring the paranormal? That's a good one.
Be open. That'd probably be the first thing. Be open to anything.
Ask
like
questions. Be skeptical. You don't want to assume that everything is paranormal.
Very true.
Mm-hmm.
What is your first question you would ask a real spirit?
I mean, I feel like generally our first question on investigations is there anyone here with us?
True. Not like Scooby-Doo when it's like, is this Mr. Johnson?
I mean, I guess like if we go to like, a location that we've been to, like we'll go to the second floor of Selma and be like, Miss Fornance, are you here? Like, so I guess it varies on location, how many times we've been there, how familiar we are with the place. Like CMU Miller will go up to the second floor and be like, Grandma, you here? My mom?
Yeah, because you know them so well already. It's kind of like home.
Yeah.
Which is pretty awesome. I thought I had 3 questions. It was 2. But Craig said, if I encountered one, I'd leave it alone just out of precaution. I think I'd stay the hell away from the Dybbuk boss. I don't think I would necessarily open one. But the name that we shall not say keeps saying that they are going to open the box live on TV just to like drag you in, and then doesn't open it. And
well,
then
I say that if we give it to Craig, nothing will happen because it's Craig.
See, I don't know Craig, but
so Craig is like the anti-ghost repellent.
Oh, really?
He loves to investigate, right? But he doesn't have a lot of paranormal things happen in his presence.
He's so big, they run from him. That's what it is.
Think giant. He's a very tall, very scary looking. Like he's really just a teddy bear.
He's a gentle giant. Okay.
He's a gentle giant. So, we think the ghosts are just a little scared of him. So, we call him like the ghost repellent. So that's why I said, like, if he opens the box or touches the box, like nothing's going to happen because they're just going to be too scared of Craig and run away.
You got to sit Craig down so he's eye-to-eye ghost level. If he's sitting in a chair, maybe then he might have a thought, but he's a big boy. A very gentle giant.
Like a baby carriage or something. A high chair. Todd said in Gettysburg they did a ghost tour of the house where Jenny Wade was born. They have a mirror covered and sealed because it is believed to be a portal or bad juju. Any of you seen that? I haven't.
I know the house she's talking about, and I am familiar with the Jenny Wade house. One day I'd like to be there. I haven't been to that house yet. Something about a bullet went in through one side of the house, hit Jenny Wade and killed her like right on the spot there. Megan, being our history buff, doing all the fabulous history, you probably know more about the Jenny Wade house than any of us. I just know that little nugget, and that is definitely on a bucket list one of these days to get there.
Megan, is that the red house that she left the door open while she was baking the bread? It's next to that huge hotel.
Yes.
Okay. So they have the mirror covered.
I've never been there. I don't.
God, yeah.
So I've never
So-
been to Gettysburg, so
Really?
Yeah, I've never been there.
Neat.
That's like
list.
most haunted place you can ever be.
Mhm.
You should go.
I
You
should.
love it.
It's a shame. Before I joined the team, there was a friend of the family that used to have the Irish Brigade gift shop. And of course, after I joined the team, I knew
Closed
her.
it. Isn't
After
that
I
the one
joined
that they
the team,
closed?
wish I would have known you could have investigated Mr. So-and-so that was in the basement. I'm like, oh, really? And she had sold the shop by then.
We are so sad that that place closed. We loved it there.
It was nice. Yeah. Why am I drawing a blank? I shouldn't be. Robin. Robin is who owned that shop.
Aw. Tell her that we miss it. We love it so much. Todd said this is the house that she was born in, not the house near the hotel that she was shot in.
Oh, okay.
He said he thinks that Amy and Adam did a show with that mirror.
That house I'm not familiar with. I'm familiar with the one she was shot in.
I don't
But-
know which house.
Yeah,
Maybe-
I don't know. I thought it was a red house too. So
Oh, Craig said he thinks that Amy and Adam did a show with that mirror.
Yeah.
We're all gonna be looking this up after the show. Oh, Cheryl said it was her sister's house that she was shot in. That is true. There's a ghost tour that uses it, Todd said. She was shot in her sister's house because her sister was pregnant and she was there to make bread and she was taking care of the soldiers and her sister at the same time. What a martyr like this girl was. And she's there and she opens the doors and she's taking water and bread out to these guys. And they clear out all of the citizens and they thought that they would be okay there because it was like way out of the town lines. And she just happened to get shot by a sniper when the Farnsworth house, was it? I think it was the
I
Farnsworth
don't know.
house
Yeah.
in town. And she was the only citizen shot.
Mm.
So sad.
Mm-hmm.
Very sad. And people say that they could feel like their pant leg get pulled by her.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, the Farnsworth house. So before we go, what is the place that each of you would love to get to that is like your bucket list of bucket lists? Oh, here we go. Sarah's getting ready.
The Indiana State Sanatorium,
Okay.
top of my list. I can't even give you a real reason why.
You
But
can't?
I saw the episode when Project Fear was there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like it's so far out there. Like I just want to go. I don't know why. Like I'm so fixated on that place, but I want to go.
So do you think it's because it's so far out there that like there's not even help it's just so isolated? Do you think that's why?
I feel like the fact that it's isolated, it adds to that fear factor. And I feel like, if you go to a place that's in a downtown city, like you hear a noise, you're like, oh, it's probably outside. Oh, it's probably next door. Or like when you go out there and all of your team is in one spot and you hear some noises, like, it's not the neighbors, it's not a dog barking down the street. Like, I feel like it makes our senses heightened at that point.
Yeah.
It's so, I don't know. I just want to go. I've been
It's
bugging.
just quiet and crickets.
Yes. been bugging Tony. He's like, it's an 11-hour drive. I'm like, okay, and like,
Isn't everybody kind of closer to that direction anyway?
I feel like me, Brian, Brett, and Jess are the closest ones.
And go
All
without
right,
them.
let's go.
All right, who's next?
I'll go. I want to go to the Conjuring house.
Okay.
That's my big
You'll
thing.
get to meet Cody and Satori.
There you go. That'd
So
be fun
there's like a bonus with that one.
too. True. That's true.
Okay, Megan.
I have so many, but if I had to pick one, I'm gonna go with, and Tony's gonna love this one because he's an 11-hour drive. The Villisca Axe Murder House is probably my number one I want to go to.
I knew you were going to say that.
Ooh. That's a good one though. I mean, like,
Yeah.
it's never really been solved. So
Right.
you get to go to investigate and possibly solve the murder. Like if
Right.
you ask the correct questions, you bring the right equipment.
Brett said we're going there this year. Did you know about that, Jess?
Surprise.
We're in the process of trying to plan a trip.
To Basil, to
See, Megan, you ruined it. It was your
Close,
birthday gift.
Right? you didn't tell me about this, Jess.
It was your surprise party.
I'm about to tag along. It's not.
Cindy.
Probably the Gabriel Davies Tavern.
Where's
And
that?
that is in Glendora in Jersey.
Okay.
Mainly because as a child, I used to drive by that to see my grandparents on multiple times a week. I know teams have investigated it, but I think that would be my one to just kind of go, okay, yeah, I can knock that one out of the park. That's local. It's not far to get to that, but hard to get into.
Jenny said she's been there and she investigated it.
Jenny, let me know. I'm coming with you.
There you go. See, this is all about networking.
yeah.
Yeah.
Local and outside too.
Maybe Jenny can get you the hookups then.
That would work.
There you go. And
That would
Jenny's amazing to investigate with. She's so amazing. I've been to Eastern State Pen for their like walkthrough, and I've taken pictures just with a cell phone, and I found a man with a top hat that was walking just with the rest of the crowd. So I believe that he might have been the warden. And I also have a picture of a hallway where we were just walking, and they give you like earphones so you can listen through your walking tour. And there were these guards that were probably about 6.5 feet tall, but they disappear from the knee down. So I've always wanted to do an investigation there, but they don't do investigations any longer. And since I've been there, they also opened the medical ward, and I want to get back for that. I really want to investigate this place so desperately.
Yeah.
But I'd also like to do the Hinsdale House, and I want to do Trans-Allegheny. So those are my big ones. But if anybody wants to go to any of them, I'm always up for it. I love to investigate.
I am 15 minutes from Hinsdale. And there's literally a hotel right down at the end of my street.
I'm always in. And Jenny and her team, Parasite, they do, they have the Ritz Theater.
Oh.
That was awesome to investigate. We had a door open for us on command. We had some really amazing spirits come through. So if you guys are ever in that area in New Jersey, that one's amazing too.
I feel like I've heard Megan talk about the Ritz Theater.
You've never heard of the Ritz Theater?
I think I've heard Megan talk about it and wanting to go there.
I've heard about it. Yeah. there's a couple theaters that I'd like to check out. I've heard of it. So
that one is fantastic.
So Tony, if you're in the chat, get a contact.
So I will take some information from you guys. Where can we reach you all? If anybody wants to get in touch with anybody, is it interstateparanormalresearch.com or?
That's a great one to use. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just address it to who you want it to go to.
Okay.
We have a link. If you go to our website, there's a link in there for our link tree that has all of our socials, has everything. Email, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, the whole nine.
Yeah.
So Interstate Research, Interstate
And
Paranormal
Paranormal
Research.
Research, yep, at gmail.com.
And then it's also the same for your website.
Yep,
Correct.
InterstateParanormalResearch.com.
And is anything coming up for you guys anytime soon, or?
We're going to Pennhurst in April.
Mhm.
The beginning of May, we're going to Strauss Mansion. That's a new location for us. June, we're doing Wildwood again and Iron Islands. We'll be at the Pennhurst Paracon if anybody wants to stop by our table and say hi, buy a t-shirt.
And when is that one?
May 18th and 19th, I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
Very nice.
There's also the Paracon in Pittsburgh on April 27th.
That's right. We have a couple of residentials coming up the beginning of April as well.
And just like every time, like, we post when we're going on an investigation, and obviously not including the residentials, but like we go live on TikTok and Facebook every single time.
Mm-hmm.
So, feel free to jump in there and chit chat.
So Jenny said you can contact her for the Ritz or the Parasite Experience on Facebook. They have all their events there. They have so much going on all the time, and it's so amazing. You guys would love it.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Jenny.
We're going to chat.
We're going to have to reach out.
Cindy is interested.
Yeah.
You guys have been so amazing. Thank you so much for being here with us today, or with me,
For
I should
having us.
say. Anthony, Beth.
I never thought this time would fly by as fast as it did. Thank you.
Very, very fast, and there's so much to talk about. I mean, we could probably talk for a couple more hours if we needed to. Donna said, "Looking forward to seeing everyone in June." And said, "You all have to friend me. You're all amazing. Fabulous show."
Got you, girl.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you guys so much for being here. And thanks everybody for watching as usual. This was a great tie-in to International Women's Month. And this was another show of Dimensions of the Supernatural. Watch every Thursday night from 7:30 to 9:30. Maybe Anthony will be here next Thursday, we hope. And we will see you next time. Have a great evening, everybody.
Have a good night, everybody.
Have at it.